talk to me about some quarterbacks. We touched base a little bit here on some fantasy quarterback or just quarterbacks in general.
Hey guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. That way you never miss one of our brand new shows, the Picks and Parlays Power Hour. We're talking football Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to jam that bell for notifications.
What you saw, what you didn't see. Like, again, week one, we're going to see, like, this is like the appetizer of the appetizer. Like, so week two, how many of these fantasy quarterbacks, what are you seeing on some of these quarterbacks? For me, for example, I'm in a fantasy league where I have a keeper league, and I could keep three players forever, basically, year to year, redrafting. So you try to draft those real young guys. Kenny Pickett is a quarterback that's on my radar as a keeper because I know I won't probably start him this year, and that's okay. But if I want him 2-3 years from now, I got to draft him now.
Well, let's do it this way. Let's assume we're in a non-keeper league. So we're just going to rank my top 10 quarterbacks for 2022 starting, just say, for the season. Because this is what I'm using in my fantasy football draft. And I think, usually I would go in and I would say Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, number 1, 2. And I think you can kind of flip-flop those. I don't think I have Rodgers at this point as a number 1, as far as number 1. I like Brady a little more. I mean, last year Brady had 43 and 12, so 43 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 5,300 yards. I mean, he was unbelievable. He went out and they got another weapon for him in Julio Jones. I think his offense is just more proven. There's less things that can go wrong. I think Devontae Adams leaving, Aaron Rodgers, there's still question marks there. So I'm going to put Tom Brady number 1. I'm going to have Aaron Rodgers slightly ahead of number 3, but I like Aaron Rodgers as number 2. And, it's like Aaron Rodgers he only threw, I think it was 4 interceptions last year. I mean, it's like when you have that kind of accuracy, 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4,100 yards. I mean, the guy has his ability to hit guys that are covered. It's the best in football. So that is a little less worrisome than a quarterback that isn't as accurate. He's probably the most accurate quarterback maybe of all time. I mean, those numbers are 4 interceptions in a season. I mean, there's guys out here. I mean, Jameis Winston, let's just say, who that does that multiple times in a game. So I like Aaron Rodgers as number 2. I don't know how you feel about Matt Stafford now that he's not a Lion, but Matt Stafford last year, I think, was proven that he can win the big one. Now, I've moved Matt Stafford down a spot, and I've moved Dak Prescott up a spot this year. I like Dak Prescott. He threw 37 touchdowns last year and just 10 interceptions. I think he has a ton of ability on this team. I just think they have some big name players, and I think Dallas always seems to give tons of points and always end up in shootouts. So I like Prescott above Stafford. Stafford will be in that 4th spot for me. Stafford is legitimate. I mean, he's the guy that you draft that just like this guy can make every throw, and he's proven that over a decade plus in football. Interceptions is maybe a little worry with him. After you get past that, I think you can make tons of arguments. Patrick Mahomes being number 5, are you kidding me? 37 touchdowns, 13 interceptions last year. I mean, 4,400 yards. I mean, the one thing I will say that I always worried about the Chiefs in pass is they were always leading games. This year, I don't know. I don't think they have near the edge that they have in years past. I think you could see maybe him get some more yards and more touchdowns this year because he's going to be playing in games that's closer, that they, not just trying to run the clock out at the end. So I do like Mahomes at number 5. And like I said, you could argue that he moves up a few spots. Then Josh Allen for me. And I know a lot of people think Josh Allen should be number 1. And he has that huge arm. I mean, 36 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. But, the one thing I always worry about quarterbacks playing in New England, playing in Buffalo, is those cold and, snowy, windy days. That is very tough. And obviously you're playing in Buffalo, your home game's outside. You're going to play in many of those games. And we saw a couple last year. I think one was on a Thursday night or Monday night where it was like, I think it was the Patriots game they played. And it was like, you couldn't throw the ball because it was so much rain and weather. So that is the reason why. Not saying his ability isn't there, that he's not better as far as if I was just drafting a team. But as far as being able to put up numbers for fantasy football, I have him as number 6. Number 7, I'm going Joe Burrow. Maybe I'm a little, I can admit I'm a little a Bengals fan. 34 and 14 last year, 4,600 yards. Maybe the best combination of receivers, big name receivers. Chase, Higgins, Boyd. I mean, these guys, and then you have Joe Mixon out of the backfield. I mean, they have so many weapons, and they got an offensive line in front of them finally this year. So I like him. 7. Derek Carr, I think, is going to have a big year. 23-14 last year, but he gets his teammate from college back. And, as much as we take Aaron Rodgers down a spot because, you go out and you lose your top weapon. When you go get a weapon like that, I think the Derek Carr is number 8 for me. And then 9 and 10, I like Russell Wilson. I've loved him his whole career. I think the change of scenery, he finally has an offensive line. They have some good weapons there. I think tough division. That's the worry, I guess, in that one. But sometimes if you're behind, that's not a terrible thing for fantasy football. You get some more, passing attempts. And then number 10, I'm really going out on a limb here. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to have a big year this year. 21-14. They drafted his replacement, maybe Malik.
Maybe a little light and some fire under his behind there.
And anytime
Malik Wilson looked good.
Malik Willis looked good, but you have a guy behind him that is going to rush, if healthy, for 15 to 2,000 yards. You're going to have to stack the box. Yes, they lost some weapons, but you're going to be wide open one-on-one on the outside with this team because you have such a good running game. So I think he could have a big year. He also cost them the Super Bowl, or cost them their chance at the Super Bowl, losing to the Bengals in the opening game last year. So I think he's going to have a much better year. So that's kind of the out on the limb. Once you get past the top 7, 8, 9 guys, I think, the next 10 to 20, it's like, who's just going to have the better, this year, because they're all
exactly
decent, about that level.
I agree with most of those quarterbacks you mentioned. I think Derek Carr should be higher on the list. I think he's going to have a really, really good year this year. And I think Aaron Rodgers could drop down. I don't have him in my top 5. And maybe that's just because I hate the Packers. But I don't have him in my top 5. He's going to do Aaron Rodgers things, but he loses a big threat. He loses his big guy out there. And
Adams
I think he's going to be
a big loss. Yeah, Murray. Someone said Murray. I wouldn't argue about Murray, but also Hopkins isn't playing the first 6 games. The reason why I didn't have Murray in my top 10. There's, like I said, once you get past the top 7, 8, 9, 10 guys, the next 10 are there's a lot. We've seen guys have huge years. All these guys. Matt Ryan, has had those type of years. Jared Goff, like Baker Mayfield, if you said he had a big year, I wouldn't, he's definitely going to be ready to prove that he's
we could see.
So to me, it's like the top 7 or 8, and this is a passing league now. It's there's no more. There's a reason why, other than probably Derrick Henry, there's not a running back out there that you say almost everybody's running back by committee now. So it's all about the quarterbacks and receivers now, as far as fantasy football is concerned. And that's my top 10. So who knows? Let's see.
Tell us what you like.
Tell us what you like
in the comments for sure. Craig, tell us what you have going on over at Picks and Parlays.
Well, make sure you stay tuned, because we'll also be doing running backs and receivers later this week. So make sure you, if you have a guy you like or want to hear, you listen into that. But I do have my 5 free picks every day over at Picks and Parlays. You can get those by just hit the subscribe button and like and subscribe this video, and you'll make sure you get all the videos we do here. But I do my 5 free picks every day, and in that, I give my best bet deal, $25 off, just $17.99. So some days just 1 best bet, some days 2, but either way, you'll get those $25 off. So click that link in the description to hit that subscribe button.
Awesome. I appreciate you, and thanks for stopping by. We'll see you more on Power Hour this week, I'm sure. Everybody, don't forget, like he said, like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Take care, Craig.